What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you in regards to the Voiceflow's Webchat API, and what this does, it provides a way for you to programmatically interact with the Voiceflow chatbot. So for example, you might want, when the user is on a certain page, for the chatbot to launch and follow a specific flow. And for example, you might want to pass variables back and forth the website and the chatbot, and there's so many more functionalities that you're able to alter programmatically. Being able to master this skill will enable you to build more powerful chatbots, not just the basic chatbots that don't interact with the website. So if this is something you might like, consider hitting the subscribe button and leave a like if you enjoy the video. Anyways, let's get right into it. So here I have a basic Voiceflow chatbot that I've created. So go ahead and log into your Voiceflow account and just create a basic chatbot like this. This is just a text block saying hello. Then we capture the user's response through a capture block, then send it back to the beginning. So what we'll do is publish this. Successfully published. So what we'll do is go back here to integration, then Webchat, and what you want to do is just copy this code as is, then paste it within your body tag of your HTML file. So here I have a basic HTML file, just having the title Webchat API tutorial and that title. So let's paste it over here. Okay, then save that. Then here in my terminal, what I want to do is do npx serve. So this HTML file is in a folder called vf_webchat2, as you can see here. So what I want to do is npx serve. So this I'm using VS Code. So once this has loaded up, it's telling me that it's copied the local address to clipboard. So I can open any tab in Chrome and paste in that specific URL, localhost port 3000. So you can see once it's loaded, you can see the chatbot has loaded. And when you click on that start new chat, you can see it says hello. And whatever I type in, it just tells me hello. So the chatbot is working. So let's go back to the HTML file. So this is the basics of how you can launch the chatbot. Okay, you can see the function that's loading the chatbot is this window.voiceflow.chat.load, and we're able to access this function because we have passed in this specific script file. So this URL contains all the Voiceflow functions that you need to be able to work with the Webchat API. So there are certain properties we're able to alter here. So for example, the user ID. So this can be the ID of the user that's logged in. So you can be able to get this programmatically and pass it here. So for example, let's assume that's 1234. And what this does is when the chatbot loads in Voiceflow, there's a default variable called user ID. So let me show you that. Here in the chatbot, in the text message, you can say hello user ID. Then if I do curly braces, you can see if I type in user, there's a default variable called user ID. And so if we alter it programmatically here, it means that it should say hello user ID 1234. So let's publish this. And this means I can use that user ID wherever in the Voiceflow project to run specific functions. For example, I might want to save the information in the CRM and pass in that specific user ID. So I can do that programmatically. Successfully published. So when I go back to the local website here and I launch the chatbot, so let me just start it from the beginning. You can see it says hello user ID 1234. Okay. Another property we're able to alter here is the user variable, and what this does is in the transcripts that are available on Voiceflow, we might want to be able to track and know that this chat was with this specific user. So how we're able to do that is this through this property called user. So we'll give it a name and an image. So this could be the user's profile picture. So we can be able to get this, for example, the logged in user, get their name, put it here, and get their profile image, put it here. So that here, let me just paste in a random image URL, then save it up. Then let me go back to the chatbot, reload that, and when I start a new chat here, hello there. So you can see there. Let me go back to Voiceflow. Then when I go to the transcript tab over here, I can be able to see the chat transcript that just happened. You can see my name is Mutiso Mwadime. My user ID is 1234. Then you can see my profile picture that I'd inserted is over here. So this is good for tracking purposes, so that because you can be having so many transcripts that are happening because of many chats that are happening with the AI, and you don't know this is with which specific user. So if you pass in through this specific property the name of that user, you can be able to track that easily through the Voiceflow transcripts tab. So next, you might want to pass some variables when the chatbot loads to the chatbot. So for example, you might want to pass in the email of the user to the chatbot. So what we'll do here is comma, then we'll pass in a property called launch. It's an event we are trying to launch that is of type launch, okay? Then we pass in a payload containing the actual things that we want to pass to the Voiceflow chatbot, okay? Then here we have the payload where we'll pass in the actual details that we want to pass from the website to the chatbot. So you might want to pass in the email, and let's say this email, let's say it's mutiso@gmail.com. You can programmatically insert this to be the email of the user that's logged in. Then we can say the phone number is, let's say, okay? So then let's save this and go back to our Voiceflow chatbot. So here at the beginning, before we do hello user ID, all that, let's first pass through a JavaScript step that will be able to obtain the variables that are being passed from the website. So let's first create two variables, user email and user phone, okay? So I go here to variables, new variable, user email, control enter to save that. Another variable, user phone, control enter to save that. Then going back here to the workflow, I can be able to capture that. So user email is equals to last event. So here's where we're able to get information from the payload, okay? .payload .email, okay? And this last event is, if I go back to my HTML file, this is the last event, okay? So we're trying to capture the last event .payload .email, okay? So I can do the same thing for the phone number. So if you're asking how I've done that shortcut, that is Shift Alt then arrow down. So this will be phone, okay? So with this, we can be able to display this in the text message. So we can say hello user ID, then we insert the user email, and your phone number is that, okay? So and if there's an error, we'll just display the message. Then in any case, we just lead it back to the capture block to get the user's response. Then let's publish that. Successfully published. Let's go back to the chat where the chatbot has been deployed. Then if I close this, end chat and start a new chat, or error from JS, let's just ensure we have saved the HTML file. Then let's reload the page, okay? Let's start a new chat. You can see hello user ID 1234, your email is mutiso@gmail.com, and your phone number is that. So we're able to pass the variables from the HTML file, okay? But now the question is, let me show you something. If I come back here to my HTML and save this to, let's say, alter the email to mutiso2@gmail.com, then let's change the number to something like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, okay? Save that, go back to the chatbot. We can reload it. Then you see, when I launch the chatbot, it's still saying your email is mutiso@gmail.com and your phone number is that. Yet I've already altered this, okay? So this is because the chat has already been saved for this specific session, and when the chatbot has loaded, it starts from where the user had left off, okay? So it's not starting from the beginning here at the start, so that it can be able to capture the variables as intended, okay? It's just starting immediately from this block of hello user ID, and it works with the variables that had been saved from the last session. So to be able to work around this, let me show you. Instead of passing the variables through this launch step over here, the best practice that I'd advise you to use is come here. So after window.voiceflow.chat.load, okay, come to the end of the parentheses here, enter, then do .then run as function. So for window.voiceflow.chat.interact, okay, then we want to pass an interaction to the chatbot, and that will be of type launch, and here we pass in the actual payload, okay? So we can copy the payload that we've used over here. just paste it in there accordingly. Shift Alt F to restructure it properly in VS Code. Save it up. Then when I go back here to the website, reload that, I can click on that and you can see it's obtaining and using mutiso2@gmail.com. So why this is working is, yes, the chatbot will be loaded up through this function of window.voiceflow.chat.load, but since by default it will start from where the user had left off from the previous conversation, we want it to go to the very beginning at the start block. And to do that, we send an interaction to the Voiceflow runtime to start from the beginning, and we do that through an interaction of type launch. Okay, then we pass in the specific payload. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so and this is something that had disturbed me a lot until I figured out the best way to pass variables to your Voiceflow chatbot isn't through this way that Voiceflow says that you should do. The best way is to use then pass it through this way. Okay, so that the variables can be obtained accordingly. So I'll just delete this, save that up. So let's say you might want the Voiceflow chatbot to launch, but not to launch as is the way it overlays on the screen. You might want it to appear in a specific section in your HTML file. So how do you do that? So here there's a property. Let me just show you. So let me just remove this dot then. Okay, so here there's a property comma called render. Okay, so render takes in two properties: the mode that you need to render it. So there's two modes. So there's either overlay, which is the default, or you might want it to be embedded. Okay, so there are those modes. So if you put it as embedded, you need to provide a target section that you need the Voiceflow chatbot to launch in. So this by default, if you don't provide a target and you've put the mode as embedded, the chatbot will look for an HTML element that has the ID of Voiceflow chat frame. Okay, so for example this way. Okay, but if it doesn't find this such an element, it will default back to the method of overlay, and overlay is the default. So let's just have it as overlay, and I show you. Come back to our page and reload it. So when I press on this chat bubble, it overlays on top into the screen, but I might want it to appear at a specific section in this HTML file. So for that, end chat. If I come here and have it as embedded, but let's say there's no such an element with this ID, so let's save that. Go back and reload the page. You'll see it defaults back to the overlay method. But if it finds an element that has that ID, let's see, save that, go back to the where you've launched the chatbot, and you can see it appears in that specific element. Okay, but maybe you might want for it to appear in a specific section and not this Voiceflow chat frame. So what we do is we pass in a second property called target, and we obtain that specific target. So document dot query selector, and we might want to obtain one that has a class name of dot chat frame. Okay, and for this, let's just reload our element here to chat frame. When we save that, so here let's give it some styling. So dot chat frame, and let's say position fixed. We might want it to be at the top 1M, left 2M. Let's give it a height of, let's say 30M. Okay, so that way. So save that. Let's go back to our website, reload that. Oh sorry, here it was meant to be hashtag because we are trying to obtain through the ID, so it's not a class. If this was class, we'd use a dot. Okay, but since it's an ID, we use a hashtag. Okay, so that means even over here, instead of dot chat frame, it needs to be hashtag chat frame. Save that, go back and reload the website, and you see it appears in that specific section that has those specific dimensions. Okay, So that's how you're able to embed the chatbot in a specific section. Okay, so let's say you want to alter specific stylings in the specific Voiceflow chatbot in the chat window. So for that, we'll pass in here another property called assistant. Then we pass in style sheet. So you might be hosting, so this has to be a URL of where you're hosting your CSS file. So you can host your CSS file in GitHub, then copy that URL and paste it over here. And what this does, it means that you're able to override the default Voiceflow stylings for the Voiceflow chat window. So to be able to see the elements that you're trying to capture, Voiceflow has a GitHub file that has that. So here, I actually get this information from the Voiceflow documentation here on custom CSS, and what you can even just go to that specific URL. Then when you scroll down, click on this, and that will take you here. And here you can see the actual CSS properties that you can be able to alter. Okay, so you can see here the chat overlay. You can be able to alter the header. Okay, you can be able to alter the chat. Okay, everything you're able to get the actual elements over here and alter them programmatically. Okay, so but right now we're okay with this, so let me just save that. So let's say you want to display like proactive messages on top of the chat bubble. By this I mean, so let's say just let me return it to render mode overlay. So I'll delete that, save that, go back to the chatbot. So I've reloaded the page. You might want some messages to appear here just to entice the user to interact further with the Voiceflow chatbot. So those are proactive messages. So how do you do that? Here in the HTML file, what I'll do is, after window.voiceflow.chat.load, I'll do .then a specific function to run after that called window.voiceflow.chat.proactive, okay, .push, so we want to push some proactive messages, then parentheses, enter, so you can push a couple of proactive messages. Okay, so like that. So the first one we'll have, the proactive message is of type text. Okay, and the payload, we pass in a message, and the message could be, let's say, we are awesome, chat with us. Okay, so that's the first proactive message. Let me save that, go back to the page, reload it, and you can see there, we are awesome, chat with us. So if they click on that, they can chat with it, and if they close that, that appears. So they can click that to just delete the proactive message. So let's say you want to add more messages, so Shift Alt arrow down, so that I can do another message here, and this I can say, really, chat with us. So save that, come back here, reload it, and I'll have those two messages. Okay, so let's say you want to display different proactive messages depending on the page the user is on. So if they're in product 1's page, it displays something like product 1 is awesome, but if they're in product 2, it says something like product 2 is awesome, chat with us. So for that, let me create two different files. So let me call this product1.html and another one product2.html. For product 1, so exclamation mark enter, then I call this product 1, then a quick one, just product 1, same case here, but this is product 2, and a h1 tag containing this product 2. Then in the index.html below here, I'll put in a UL for some links. Then the first link is an anchor tag that has an href of product1.html, and this will be product 1. Same case for product 2. Okay, save that, go back to the website, then I reload this, and you see there, if I go there, that's product 1. I go back, here is product 2. Okay, so that's working. So let's quickly just deploy the chatbot on those specific pages. So for that, I'll just copy this code as is. So this script tag, the entirety of it, Control C, paste that in there. Then I do Shift Alt F to restructure the things properly. Okay, save it up. Then do the same thing here. So for product 1 here, I might want it to say product 1 is awesome, chat with us. Then product 2 is awesome. But before you push the messages as is, what you want to do is window.voiceflow.chat.proactive.clear, so that it clears any previous proactive messages that were already over here. Okay, so we do the same thing. So I copy that line, do the same thing over here. So before pushing that, you want to clear any previous proactive messages. So that's a tip I wanted to give you there. So save that, go back to the page, reload it. So if I go to product 1, you can see product 1 is awesome. If I go back, then I go to product 2, you can see product 2 is awesome, chat with us. Okay, so let's say you'd want to launch the chatbot when a specific website interaction happens. So for example, if the user submits a form, you want the chatbot to pop up with specific messages from the data they have inputted in the form. So for that, let me show you. So I'll come here to my HTML file and I'll create a form very quickly. Then here this form takes in an email, a phone number, and then it submits the form. So programmatically we can obtain this information. So I have a basic script tag over here that obtains the information. First we add an event listener onto the form. Okay, so and the event is once a form is submitted, we first prevent the page from reloading because that's the default behavior. Then we obtain the email and the phone number through that code. Then we console log it into the console. Okay, so let's just save this and see it on the website. Then I'll reload the page. So you see there, can put in an email address there, then some number. Okay, and you can see there the details are being obtained and being logged correctly. So we would want to pass these variables to Voiceflow. Okay, so how do we do that? So I'll come back here to the HTML, and you see here where we are launching the chatbot through the basic code that we got from Voiceflow. Pick this URL that contains the Voiceflow functions. Okay, then add it to a separate script file. So script source, then paste it in there, so that now we can handle this programmatically. So I'll just quickly just comment this part out because we want to launch the chatbot when the form is submitted. So for that, once we do this, we can come and do window.voiceflow, or rather we can just copy paste whatever we are doing up here. Okay, down here. Okay, so copy that, paste it down here. So we load the chatbot, and what we want to do is once the chatbot loads, we'd want to open it up so that it just pops up immediately. Okay, so for that we'll do a function. Okay, window.open. Okay, and this what this does is immediately the chatbot loads, it will pop up. Okay, so save that, but before we open the chatbot, we'd want to pass in these variables that we've obtained. And just like I showed you initially, you just do then a function. Okay, and in that function we'll have window.voiceflow.chat.interact. Okay, then the type of interaction is launch, so that it can start at the beginning. I hate it when I don't know whether it's only me who experiences that, where the at and the double quotes, they switch places. So launch, then the payload, I can pass in the specific email which we have obtained and the phone number. Okay, So save that. Then what we can do is reload, go back to our website. Okay, so then reload this. Then if I put in an email, let's say this, and I put in a number, let's say that, then submit, you can see the chatbot pops up with that specific email and the phone number. And if you see in our Voiceflow project, we're obtaining the phone number and the email, then we're just displaying it back to the user through a text message. So yeah, that's how we're able to do that. But also I feel like I needed to emphasize one thing over here. So if I close this chat, okay, let me just show you, there's something bugging that I haven't been able to figure out. Let me end the chat, okay, then let me submit this again so I can reload the website. So let me submit an email here, and that specific number, submit. So you see it comes, then when I click start new chat, it says error from JS. And why is this error happening? Okay, this error is happening because the interact endpoint isn't being called if the form is submitted and we're launching the chatbot afresh. Okay, so let me just show you. If I go to the networks tab over here I'm filtering just to get the events of type interact. Okay, and you can see here in this interaction that's being sent, there is no that specific payload that we are trying to pass. Okay, if you go back here in the interact we are sending, our type launch has a payload of email and the phone number, but in this case that's not being passed in. But let's see, if I just type in something, enter, you see it's not working. It's not able to capture the email and the phone number that we're able to get. It's using the ones that we had passed in initially. Okay, so and you can see the new interaction here is of type text, which is just the text that we have passed to the AI chatbot. Okay, so if I close this, then try submitting again, watch what happens. Okay, so now it works. And if I go here and see the interact over here, you can see it has that specific event, type launch, and the specific payload that we're trying to pass. So the bottom line that I'm trying to pass on is, if you're trying to launch the chatbot from the form submission, the chat should have already started and it's already going on. But if the chatbot is being launched afresh from the very beginning, it's not going to call the interact endpoint and pass in that specific payload that we're trying to pass to the chatbot. Okay, I don't know whether that makes sense. Okay, so if the user had already chatted with the chatbot a lot, then they come and submit the form, the chatbot will launch and it will be able to pass in the payload to the chatbot as intended to. But if this is like the complete beginning, when they're starting chatting with the chatbot and they are trying to pass in the payload from the form submission, it won't work. And I'm trying to figure out what's the issue around there. If you find a solution, kindly just leave a comment down below. But yeah, let's get back to the video. So let's say you want the chatbot to follow a specific path or flow based on the web page that the user is on. So for example, if they're in product 1's page, you'd want it to follow this flow for product 1. If they're in product 2, you want the chatbot to launch and flow flow through the path of product 2. So for that, you need to pass in the website URL within the payload. And how we do that, let me just show you. Go to product 1's page here, and what I want to do is here I do .then. So the same way how we pass in variables to Voiceflow is just do .chat.interact. Then the type of interaction is launch, so because we want to start from the beginning. Then we want to pass in the payload. The payloads for example, the ones we had here initially. So let's just pass in email and phone. Okay, but since in this case we're not obtaining the email and phone from somewhere, let's just give it some random email and some random phone number, so 07 whatever. Then we pass in the website URL. Okay, so the website URL will be in window.location.href. Okay, save that. Then we can do the same thing for product 2. Copy that, come down here and paste it before we display the proactive messages. Okay, save that. Then what we want to do is once the chatbot has loaded and passed the following variables to Voiceflow, we want it to automatically pop up. So we'll do .then window.voiceflow.chat.open. okay, save that. Do the same thing for product 2, because we want it to be interactive. Want it to automatically pop up when the user lands on the page. Okay, so save that, go back to Voiceflow. So here in our Voiceflow, in the JavaScript that's obtaining the email and the phone, we can add in the website URL. I've gone ahead and created a variable called website URL. On your side, ensure you create that. Then equals to the same thing we are doing up here, but instead of this, we have the website URL. Okay, so then we'll do something based on the page that they are on. So we'll delete this linkage over here. Then what we want to do is we want to have an if statement that checks whatever is in the website URL. Okay, if the variable website URL contains, okay, let's say product 1, okay, enter, then add another condition if the variable website URL contains product 2, okay, enter. Okay, then we add another path for else. Okay, that means that they are in the home page and not in product 1 or product 2. So let's just move this up here. Okay, then we want, if they're in product 1, we want it to go through a specific workflow. I've gone ahead and created workflows for product 1 and product 2. So here, if you go to product 1's workflow, it's just a text message saying you're in product 1, then you capture the response and send it back to the same message. Same case for product 2. Okay, you're in product 2, then we capture whatever they have said and send it back there. Then this block, we name it as product 2 start. Okay, then if you go back to home page, we come here. If they are in if it contains product 1, that specific website URL, we go to the block, and the block we want to go to is in product 1 start. Then we do the same thing for product 2 actions, go to block, and the block we want to go to is product 2 start. Then else means that they're not in either of those pages, they are in the home page. So we'll just forward it back to the previous flow. So what we'll do is publish this. Okay, so that's done. Go back to the website. Then we can go to the home page here. So we click product 1, and you see it pops up with you're in product 1. If they're in product 2, so let's say product 2, see it pops up and it says you're in product 2. So this just to show you, it's an example, because in reality you might want to give further information on products 2 and the benefits and the features, all that, and you're able to do this once you're able to capture the website URL that's being passed in through the payload of that specific event. Anyways, that's it from me. That's a comprehensive tutorial on how you can be able to work with the Voiceflow web chat API. Being able to master this skill will enable you to build more powerful chatbots that seamlessly interact with the website, and there's no limit to what you can achieve. Anyways, that's it from me. If you'd love to work with our team to build such powerful AI systems, there'll be a link in the description where you can visit our website and book in a meeting with our team. Anyways, till next time, stay servy. Peace.